The View host Whoopi Goldberg has unleashed on her co-host Alyssa Farah Griffin over Joe Biden's pardoning of his son Hunter.
The Biden situation disgusted me in terms of the pardoning only from this standpoint, Chris. Come out and to start talking about how it's been a witch hunt and the Department of Justice and others were after him or whoever it was, and GOP rather was after him. Well, wait a minute. What have y'all been doing with Donald Trump all of these years?
Goldberg and Griffin got into a heated exchange after Griffin claimed Joe Biden lied in the past when he repeatedly said he would never pardon his son, Hunter.
I respect it as a parent. I understand why he would do it. Yeah. But I wonder to understand why lie about it for so long.
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay, why repeatedly say you're not going to and you do? And secondarily, for the part of this country, half of it that doesn't support Biden, doesn't know him personally, doesn't get to have phone calls, and they're just looking at a system that seems like it's only benefits the people who are in power.
The tension on The View hit a breaking point this week as Whoopi Goldberg lashed out at her co-host Alyssa Farah Griffin over Joe Biden's shocking decision to pardon his son, Hunter. Alyssa dared to call out what she labeled as Biden's lie for previously promising not to pardon his son. And Whoopi wasn't having it. What started as a simple disagreement quickly escalated into a heated on-air confrontation that left audiences stunned. But the fallout didn't stop there. The internet erupted, mainstream media chimed in, and critics from both sides of the aisle weighed in on Biden's decision.
Nobody on the planet, you want to be a cynic and you want to act like you would be offended by something like that if you're one of those people out there, fine. But no one within reason would have a problem with him saying, it's my son, I love him, there's no way I'm sending him to jail, and I have the power to avoid it. Nobody would blame him for that. But that's not where he went. Please, everybody and their grandmother knew he was going to pardon his son. But to come out and to start talking about how it's been a witch hunt and the Department of Justice and others were after him or whoever it was, and GOP rather was after him. Well, wait a minute. What have y'all been doing with Donald Trump all of these years? You had folks on the left who were hell-bent on going after Donald Trump because they were determined to make sure that he couldn't run for re-election or that these elements would get in the way of him possibly winning re-election. And now we know why more than ever, because they weren't confident they would ever be able to beat him. Seems beyond hypocritical, and that was what disgusted me. It wasn't his decision. It wasn't him pardoning his son. It was the weak, pathetic explanation that he gave, which has most critics just shaking their heads and raising their eyebrows and saying, what nerve you have.
And The View's chaotic defense of it. Was Alyssa right to challenge Biden's credibility? Or is Whoopi justified in defending a father's love for his son? And what does this all mean for Biden's dwindling public trust? Let's dive into the drama, the backlash, and the bigger political picture. The drama started when Alyssa Farah Griffin questioned Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter. I get it as a parent, Alyssa said. I understand why he would do it. But why lie about it for so long? Whoopi, clearly frustrated, cut her off. I'd stop calling it a lie. This is not the same as any other situation we've dealt with before. The debate spiraled from there. Alyssa pointed out how this pardon undermines public trust. Half the country sees this as another example of how the system only benefits the powerful. What precedent does this set? Whoopi doubled down, arguing that Hunter's addiction made this case unique. This is different. This isn't like the other situations where people knew what they were doing. Hunter had a problem. This is about compassion. But Alyssa wasn't backing down. And the clash highlighted a growing divide on The View. While Whoopi fiercely defended Biden, Alyssa voiced concerns shared by many Americans. What happens to trust when the president breaks his word so publicly?
I wonder to understand why lie about it for so long.
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay, why repeatedly say you're not going to and you do? And secondarily, for the part of this country, half of it that doesn't support Biden, doesn't know him personally, doesn't get to have phone calls, and they're just looking at a system that seems like it's only benefits the people who are in power.
I'm going to say,
what precedent does that set?
Well, here's what it says. It's a precedent for all of us to open our eyes because we've elected someone who is in a similar situation, who didn't have a drug problem, who knew what he was doing, who clearly stood and said, I can do this. And he did it. So I think, for many, many reasons, This is very different than any other situation that we have ever dealt with.
As expected, social media exploded. Critics from all sides chimed in, with one commentator saying, Whoopi Goldberg says Biden didn't lie about pardoning Hunter. How is this not a lie? He said he wouldn't pardon him, and he did. Another wrote, remarkable. Whoopi says it's okay because Hunter had a drug problem, unlike Trump. The hypocrisy is astounding. Many viewers noted that this defense feels out of step with public sentiment. While Whoopi's loyalty to Biden is clear, the backlash against the pardon has exposed cracks even within the president's own base. The controversy didn't stop at The View. Even traditionally left-leaning outlets like CNN and MSNBC slammed Biden for breaking his promise. Joe Walsh, speaking on MSNBC, summed up the frustration. For years, we've been yelling that no one is above the law. And now Biden has made it clear. Hunter is above the law. This is devastating for those of us trying to hold Trump accountable. CNN echoed the criticism. One commentator declared, it's a blatant lie. Biden and his team promised over and over that Hunter wouldn't get special treatment. This undermines everything they've said about justice and accountability.
Congressman Walsh, what do you make of all of this? What is likely to be the response on Capitol Hill to this breaking news?
Good to be with you. See, I told you so. They're all like that. So the next time any of us complain about anything Trump does, this pardon is just deflating. For those of us who have been out there for a few years now yelling about what a unique threat Donald Trump is, for Joe Biden to do something like this, Trump, nobody's above the law, we've been screaming. Well, Joe Biden just made clear his son Hunter is above the law.
The backlash wasn't just coming from the right. Even some Democrats are distancing themselves from Biden, worried about the political fallout heading into 2024.
Both sides of the media are having a field day exposing Joe Biden's lie.
His question keeps coming up about his son Hunter, the crackhead Hunter Biden. Many times Joe has been asked, are you going to pardon your son? Are you going to pardon your son? Look, he's considering it. There's no doubt about that. But at least we know that Joe Biden thinks that no one, not even his son, is above the law.
Let's not forget the promises Biden made. Throughout his presidency, he repeatedly said he wouldn't pardon Hunter. From interviews to press briefings, the message was always clear. No one is above the law, not even my son. One memorable statement from Biden went viral during the election campaign. I will abide by the jury's decision. I will not pardon him.
I'm calling for a constitutional amendment called No One is Above the Law Amendment. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law. The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. Those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law.
And don't fear, he has been personally asked this question multiple times. Will you pardon your own son? No way.
Your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes. With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
And Karine Jean-Pierre, Biden's press secretary, doubled down on that promise multiple times. No, the president will not pardon his son. That answer will not change.
Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, how many minutes of tape do we have of both of these people telling the American people this will not happen?
When would the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear and I said no.
I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he will not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no.
I mean, we could play it all morning. It's a lie, and it's a lie to benefit his own family, and that's all that it is. And everybody who went on TV and said, oh, look how he's the modern George Washington, he's drained every ounce of credibility from every surrogate. If Karine Jean-Pierre had an ounce of self-respect, she'd get off the plane in Africa today, where they're going, so he can avoid the press and resign. He's drained all of her credibility, and everybody else who's defended this, it's draining.
But now, just months after those statements, Biden has gone back on his word. The flip-flop has reignited concerns about political privilege and the double standards that often seem to protect the powerful. Back at The View, Whoopi's defense of Biden is raising eyebrows. Critics argue that her attempt to justify the pardon does more harm than good. One viewer summed it up. Whoopi defending Biden like this is just embarrassing. Even MSNBC is calling him out. It's clear she's out of touch with reality. Whoopi's argument that Hunter's addiction makes this case different has only fueled accusations of hypocrisy. After all, many argue, Biden's decision isn't just about Hunter. It's about the message it sends to the rest of the country. This controversy is about more than just one pardon. It's about trust. Can Americans believe their leaders when they say, no one is above the law? Or does this decision prove that political elites play by a different set of rules? Republicans are seizing on the moment, using it to highlight what they see as systemic corruption. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis tweeted, Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter is a slap in the face to every American who believes in justice. This is exactly why trust in our institutions is at an all-time low. Even Democrats are sounding the alarm. Some worry this scandal could alienate voters and hurt the party's chances in future elections. As one Democratic strategist put it, this isn't just about Hunter Biden. It's about whether voters believe the president is honest. And right now, that trust is hanging by a thread. For The View, this moment exposes a growing divide within the panel. Alyssa's willingness to criticize Biden shows that not everyone is willing to defend the president at all costs. But Whoopi's fiery loyalty to Biden might backfire, especially as public sentiment turns against him. With ratings already struggling, moments like this could push viewers away, especially those who are tired of one-sided defenses of political figures. At its core, this scandal is about one question. Can Joe Biden hold himself to the same standards he demands from others? By breaking his promise, Biden risks undermining his entire platform of accountability and fairness. What do you think? Was Biden justified in pardoning his son? Or does this decision damage his credibility beyond repair? And was Alyssa Farah Griffin right to call him out? Or should Whoopi Goldberg's defense be the final word?